Now let's close out our 2024-2025 end of season awards with probably the most obvious award that we could give out. But you know what? You give it out anyway. Team MVP. And I made a mistake because I was in a rush. Busy days are here for Nick Belsky. I was in a rush putting these polls up on YouTube, and I simply wanted to put Sidney Crosby and other for Team MVP. I accidentally hit two extra spaces or an extra space, so I threw Ricard Raquel in there. But respectable 7% that voted for Ricard Raquel, but 93% go to Sidney Crosby, and I think that's very fitting. Now, there was a 1%, and I promise it wasn't me, but that 1% was other, and the name was Brian Rust. So shout out to that 1%, whoever voted and said Brian Rust. I think that is commendable, and I do like the little bit of love that Rusty is getting in this poll. But 93% goes to Sidney Crosby. That much was abundantly obvious whenever we sat down and said, yeah, we're still going to give out team MVP. He was the Penguins team MVP once again. He is top, 10 in scoring right now in the NHL? Somewhere around the top 10 in NHL in scoring right now, where he's banging on another 90-point season for the third consecutive year. Instead of asking you, do you agree with this? Because I think the answer is obvious. I'm going to ask you, what was your favorite Sidney Crosby moment of the 2024-25 season?
Oh, that's a good one. And yeah, he is 13th in the league right now, tied with Artemi Panarin, for 89, and Nick Suzuki with 89 for what would be 12th in the league, and then Clayton Keller and Brandon Hagel have 90. Okay.
We need a good old-fashioned 4-point game from Sid tonight is what you're telling me.
Yeah. By the way, Brandon Hagel, that stat line's ridiculous. 35 goals, and none of them are on the power play.
All five on, or all even strength, I guess it would be, but Jesus.
I believe that's the stat I read. We don't need to dig into that because we're here to talk
Maybe
about.
I should pick the Lightning. No, I'm just kidding. Let's go. Let's keep going.
Hey. And we're here to talk about Sid. We're here to continue singing his praises as if we don't do that every episode anyway. My favorite moment, that's where we were. It's got to be breaking the points per game record. It was one that we started following along with. I mean, we realized it's been his whole career, but we started really following it along. It feels like almost 4 or 5 years ago now. It felt like as he was aging and he was still putting up these incredible point per game seasons, it was, he's still really doing this. And he's knocking down these big names. Only so many players have done it this many times. Only so many players have done it this many times. And he passed Gordie Howe. It was, this is real.
Yeah.
So, Wayne Gretzky losing a couple of big records this year. And this one's a bit more understated because it's not one you think about as often. But just the key of consistency is Sidney Crosby from start to end. I could see him extending this record into next season. Season after that, we'll see. We'll see what next season even looks like. But I could see it going another year. I could see it extending another one. So I would say that as for as many accomplishments and as milestones as that Crosby surpassed this season, that's got to be the one for me. Just because you're not going to catch Gretzky in a lot of things. And if you can catch him anywhere, I think that's a good one to do it for.
And this is the epitome of Sidney Crosby, is it not? Consistency over time and excellence over time. The exact things that you talk about when you talk about Sidney Crosby. I mean, for Christ's sakes, he was just voted for the 6th consecutive season as the most complete player by the NHL Players Association. So this is 1,000% and a record that fits perfectly with just the history and the legacy of Sidney Crosby. And anytime you pass Gretzky in something, and this isn't just a cheap, well, if you have this and this and this, then you have passed Gretzky because it's down to the 10th degree. This is just flat out every single season. He has scored more points than games that he's played in. And it's not like he's just barely scratched the surface. Hey, I've been injured, but I scored 20 points in 18 games. That I missed a lot of games. He played 82 games 2 seasons ago, scored 93 points. He played 82 games last season, scored 94 points. He's going to play in 80 games this season where he did play through some injuries during the Four Nations face-off, and then you could tell a little bit after that he was still dealing with that upper body injury, and he is still knocking on 90's door once again. So this is just another example of Sidney Crosby's excellence of continuity throughout his entire career. So I love that one. It is one of the ones that I put as my top 3. You look at the others, His 600th career goal is one of my favorites. It's not my favorite, but it's one of my favorites because it shows you what Sidney Crosby means to the guys in the locker room. He scored that goal in a horrific home loss to the Utah Hockey Club. They lost 6-1 in that game, and his goal was the only goal that they scored, and really the only moment in that game where the Penguins had any life. And after that happened, everybody looked around. Everybody looked at Sid after that game, and he's like, I don't want to talk about scoring my 600th goal. We just got shellacked on home ice by a team that is in their first season because they played in a college hockey arena last year. They came to town and embarrassed us. And what did the Penguins do? They turned it around briefly, but they turned it around. They went 10-4-1 in their next 15 games. That shows you, hey, that sparked a lot out of this team because of how much they care for Crosby and because he reached that milestone in an embarrassing game. It sparked 4 weeks of stellar play from the Pittsburgh Penguins, and it goes to show how important he is to the guys in the locker room. We always know how important he is to the fans, how important he is to the organization, but that showed you right there how important he is to the other 22 guys that are standing in that locker room.
Yeah, that's just how important he is for the team, for the sport, for the city. It's, you know, I forgot that he even scored 600 this year. That's just how unceremonious that whole situation was.
So many milestones.
That too. There were so many. The fact that they lost 6-1 really drives home. I mean, it's just an incredible. It was an incredible season for him. Like you said, playing through injury, putting Team Canada on his back, at least for a game, at least for that first game, and still driving at the age of 37. It's going to be something special to watch these last couple of years, see what he can still do. And yeah, he means so much for this team. And going into it, even if you want to consider the offseason going into it, the contract nonsense. Is he going to sign? With all the trade discussion being thrown out there, none of that's going to die down anytime soon, by the way. But putting that in the rear view himself, and even again continuing to answer questions about it, ridiculous. But he takes it with grace, takes it with a smile on his face, and he knows he's not going anywhere. He doesn't have anything to worry about. Everyone can talk all they want, and you couldn't ask for a more perfect hockey player. Like I said, the points per games, the 600 career goals, even in a devastating loss. By the way, I mean, yeah, Utah was playing in a college hockey arena the last few years. They could have fought for the playoffs this year. And
yeah, I like Utah, but
it's mostly the same team with a much better defense this year, I'd say, than what they were as the Arizona Coyotes. Could have a heck of a team next year. So for the Penguins and for Sidney Crosby, you couldn't ask for too much more. He's surpassed so much. I can't even think of the other ones right now. There are just so many.
Yeah, I mean, 1,600 points. He got into the top 10 in NHL all-time scoring. He surpassed Mario Lemieux for the franchise lead in all-time assists. It's been a very good independent year for Sidney Crosby, but you know he doesn't care about any of that. Why? Because it's game 82 tonight, and there's not going to be a game 83. And that's why Sidney Crosby continues to be one of the just pillars of what you want your captain and your leader to be. Now, with that said, you alluded to it or you briefly mentioned it. My favorite moment of Sidney Crosby this season, night one, opening ceremony into the game, into overtime of the Four Nations faceoff. The Lemieux entrance and standing ovation, and the parallel, really one of the few times that we have seen those two be applauded and honored and celebrated in that way, because Lemieux does not come out very often. Lemieux, like Crosby, very much so not into public appearances. For him to come out, the reception that he got, the camera shot of Crosby watching Lemieux enter the Bell Center ice, and then the moment we got between those two, not only that, but the way Crosby followed it up. First couple minutes, insane backhand assist to Nathan MacKinnon on the power play. 3 assists in the game total, including a game-winning assist in overtime to hopefully future teammate Mitch Marner. I think that entire night is, to me, the Sidney Crosby moment of the season. And honestly, it's going to go down as one of the top 10. I can't say top 5 because this kid has done incredible things throughout his 20-year career to this point, but it will go down as one of the top 10 moments of Sidney Crosby's career.